welcome to another Corel Aftershot photo editing vlog stream thing. I went out and hit up an area near where I live called Skate Creek. It's kind of near Mount Rainier, and the road itself is a very long road that runs right along the creek itself, and so there's lots of opportunity to get water flowing over rocks and mossy rocks and leaves and all that sort of thing. The forecast had been for, I think it was partly cloudy. I somehow took that to mean it would be lots of clouds that would, hopefully diffuse the light. And what I was given was a lot of blue sky with a lot of sharp, harsh light, which if you're familiar with photographing water and streams and things, direct sunlight's usually not the best. So I found a few areas that were in shade and was able to make do, and I found a few scenes that I was able to spend some time and framed up and photographed, and so I thought I would take a look at it and just share the experience of editing, figuring out and deciding what to do with you guys. So anyway, take a look. I can show you just quickly, I've got some scenes with some water. Did a couple of other little tighter, more detailed shots, and then a stream scene as well. But we're obviously not going to go through all of these. This is just a few that I was kind of paring it down to figure out what I wanted to do. And so this first scene here is just down below a bridge that heads into a campground. And I've been here a number of times in the past and really love this area. Although, like I said, there was a lot of direct light, so I spent a lot of time setting up on a composition and then waiting for the cloud, that such as it was, go by. And but I had a couple opportunities here, and so what I've done is I like I said, I spent some time playing with shutter speeds and found what I thought was fairly pleasing, and this is what I've got. So this first one here is definitely going to be black and white, and what I'm going to do here is bump the exposure. I want to go for a full tonal range. Drag this guy down. And as I've said before, if you don't quite understand what I did and stopping and rewinding doesn't help, feel free to leave me a comment and I can try to guide you in the right direction. And let's crop this guy. I believe square. Part of what I was gunning for with this image was I kind of wanted to see if I liked having this in the foreground or not. There was some light on it, which I thought was kind of worked well with the light here and then the light back here. So I was kind of having this, acting as an anchor to the image. But obviously we could take a look at a crop like that as well. So this would be obviously a bit more of a focused, more specific on just this. But what I'm going to do is I will edit the image here, and then we can do a final crop at the end if we want to make it, exclude this part of it. So we'll see. Let's see here. My worldview when it comes to black and white is that contrast is good. I typically don't mind blacks being, crushed out of existence. But I also don't want to make that be every image all the time. It's not too bad. Actually, I might throw an S-curve in here. Try to make the whites pop a little bit more. Drag this guy over just a touch. This is getting pretty light in here. I don't want to go too bananas with this area. Alright, so now what I want to do is I think because of the white from the long exposure in the water here is I wouldn't mind enhancing that a little bit, because we have this here is fairly light. Got this reflection. I don't want my eye just drawn to these rocks, because that's really kind of nothing. It's really these leaves here. So I might want to, I think I'm going to try to lighten these a little bit, and then maybe add some accents in through here. Go to an adjustment layer. Do a little bit of a brush. And the key here is to be subtle. So I'm going to drag that down to just a little teeny bit. What I'll do is I'll bring this over. Don't want to paint the wall if I can help it. Just trying to be subtle with it all. Off, on, off, on. Yeah, it's just a little bit of a touch. We'll see, we can play with it. The nice thing is by doing a mask in an adjustment layer here, we can play with this as much as we want. It'll continue to make the change, so that if we get somewhere down the road and decide we want to make it, more intense or less intense, it's just a matter of selecting the layer and actually making the tweak. Let's see, 12. Let's go down to 8. And then I also like to make changes because I don't want it to just look like I spray painted something. I want it to look more natural, and so by changing the intensity around, you can gain a bit of sense of variation, which can be important from a natural scene. Obviously, if you were just painting a wall with a paintbrush or a sprayer, it's all going to be the same exact. But when you're doing something like this, it's not bad to... I really like these reflections back here. It's not bad to make it, to kind of break it up, have it a bit of more of a natural look to it. Subtle, that's good. Thing to note here is that when I selected this off, see how this has been selected now? Not sure what's going on, but if I click, it's just going to put in a circle, which I don't want, so I have to reselect my brush. Shrink that down a little bit, just touch that. Like I said, try not to go too bananas. Off and on, off and on. It's not too bad. Overall, I'm pretty happy with that. I do see a couple things I want to clone out as well. Let's do a heel. Let's zoom in here. Just trying to remove distractions, things that are sort of calling attention away from the key parts of the composition. That's not looking too bad. These guys gotta go though. One of the things, if you've played with clone much, is understanding that if it looks like a copy of something else in the scene directly, for example, these two eyes here, here and here, it's going to be picked up by somebody as looking as though it was like this, not natural, not normal. So I've cloned the main portion of it, which works great. And then what I'm going to do is add in a second bit of cloning just to get rid of a couple of these eyes. And that way, when we take a look at it, it's much harder to tell that something was done. It's obviously not an obvious exact copy of three things, so now you've got a repetition in your scene. And this is going to get brutal if I'm going to try to do this whole thing. I'll do a little quick and dirty job here and see if I want to. Part of the issue is just the overhanging bit. I'm not too concerned about that. That's not too bad. It's not too bad. Do I want to make this a little bit brighter? Let's go back to my adjustment brush here. Move this up. Yeah, that's pretty good. For me, subtle is the key. And then we've cloned that out, we've cloned that out. Cleaned up pretty nicely. And let's throw a vignette on there as well. I almost did it. Gotta go back to the main layer. We're gonna go pretty dark because I really want to focus in on just the important parts down here. And I just sort of play with this sort of salt to taste, as they say. It becomes a tough one because you can just do this and it kind of has a neat look to it. You know, just boom, here's where the light was hitting and that's what you're seeing. I mean, that's kind of the thing I tend to go after. Kind of a fine art look. But at the same time, you know, you got to decide, do you want to have it more of a more natural looking scene, right? This is the part of the art. It's not just what you're doing out in the field. All right. I like it. What do you think? It's all right. Now let's make a copy. Hit the insert key. And we will hit crop tool. Bring that up here. And I can bring this up a little bit more. Slight variation. So this, whoa, a 100%, there we go. So this crop excludes this foreground rock. It's definitely more focused. What do you think? Got a preference? You know what to do. Comment below. Like I said, don't forget to time code it. That'll help me and anyone who else is watching the videos have a sense of which image you were talking about. Cool. I like it. Like I said, I could definitely see making variations and playing with the vignette and stuff and really deciding how fine art you want it to look. I like that. All right. On to the next one. So I have another variation of it here. We'll take a look at it real quick. So what I'm going to do is take my base settings. So hit copy, Control C. I'm going to go onto this new image and hit paste, which is going to obviously crop it and it'll apply all the other stuff too. I'm going to start by, I am going to do an 8:10 crop to exclude this that's up there. And this just gives me a quick idea of what the image would look like in terms of based on my current sort of theme, what I'm working on. And I just wanted to see it. I'm going to undo that real quick and just take a look here. So the reason why I liked this version, was I liked this edge here. That's pretty cool. And I can do some of the exact same stuff very quickly. What's nice is that these things make a big effect just with a few adjustments. I mean, suddenly the image is just much more fine art looking than the simple raw file. I like this. This is kind of a neat little S-curve area. Very, what would you call that? Wispy? Losing a bit of detail here, but that's okay. I have this sort of creating a bit of a framing, a bit of a channel in there, which I like. Clone tool is pretty amazing. And then I will just get rid of, I think, just this overhanging part. And part of the reason I do the jaggedy edge, you know, as opposed to just like say doing a circle, is it helps hide. The human eye is going to be drawn to things that are out of place, and humans build things that are perfect, right? We build buildings that are square. We obviously have the wheel, which is a circle, and we've got, you know, when we have wood for a house that's cut straight and all that kind of thing. Nature doesn't do that. Nature builds things naturally as it will, and so everything's all crooked and edges are not straight and they're kind of sawtooth or they're bent or whatever. And so if your clone tool looks a bit more natural, it's harder to detect. If you just go boom, boom, boom with a circle or a square or something, it's a little more obvious. That is all right. And we will do the vignette. And because this one's a vertical, I'm going to reverse ratio this guy a little bit. Wow, that's kind of cool. It's very, like I said, the goal is a bit fine art, and I think I'm achieving that. This could easily be made a little bit brighter. Let's do an adjustment layer. Whack that down. Go over here. Whack that up. And do some painting. When having a pen would be cool, you know, one of those Wakems or whatever. I actually tried it wasn't a very fancy one. It was actually just, it was from the my last corporate job, the kind that you would use in an office, not in an art school, you know, or a graphic design studio. And that's probably too strong down here. So it was a small one, and I did not take the time to get used to it, but I've seen some of the work that people like Nick Page, he's a professional photographer, if you're unfamiliar, definitely look him up. He's got some cool stuff. He uses the tablet for everything and swears by it and loves it, and it works really well for him, and oh, that's not bad. See what it did there? It switched me back to this other shape. Come on, Corel. But I'm just a mouse guy. Yeah. Not sure about this here. Do I need to hide that? Do another adjustment layer. This one. Paint that out and then drag that down. Yeah, it works. This might be a bit bright. I obviously I could spend some time to really fine tune the thing. See, I did it again. I wasn't on the main layer. There we go. And Yeah. So very quickly, I mean, I've just done this real time. I'm not even sure how many minutes we're in, just 10 minutes or something, but who knows. And you're able to take a fairly basic, let me hit insert here, make a copy, and then reset. So we went from that image, which was just your basic flat raw file, to something that is far more, fine art very quickly. So definitely worth playing around and seeing what kind of things you can do. Just a few clicks, a few keystrokes, and keep in mind, like I said, if you keep your adjustments, excuse me, local, then they're super easy to review. You can just go off, on, and if you want this to be more intense, just go over here and you can whack on stuff. And so if you're in, say, this brush, for example, I can make that a lot brighter, and then if I go back here, darken that down, and now suddenly this stands out more. I mean, this is obviously a real extreme version, but I'm able to then play with each element over time and make tweaks to it, and it makes it really kind of nice. Again, it really brings that final stamp of art. And for people that are familiar with how photography used to be, darkroom style, so many adjustments are made in the printing process that it boggles the mind that people think that somehow that doing digital editing is somehow not pure. I mean, it's just silly. And I definitely enjoy it. I don't want that in there. I'm not one of those people that's too precious about, what's pure photography or what's digital art. Although I'm not, for me personally, I'm not interested in spending 6 hours building something digital art style where I'm replacing skies and putting a tree in and putting sheep in the foreground. And, I know people who will kind of build images that way, or I've seen them. I don't know them, but that doesn't interest me. I like it to at least be something that looks as though I could have taken the picture if I was there. And, in this case, obviously, if I had some super high contrast black and white film and then played with some dodging and burning in the darkroom, I could come up with this. That's kind of how I, build my craft and what I'm doing. So anyway, that's the second image. We've got another one or two to take a look at. Okay, so here's another image. This is just a little bit down the stream, or up the stream, I guess, technically. I think it's up the stream. From the last scene, and this light really drew my attention. So I took an image, obviously with a polarizer to keep the glare down here. And what I'm going to do is just paste on the same effect just to get a quick jump. So like I said, that sort of preset, just to get a feel for it. And it helps kind of quickly see if this image is going to fit with that same style, or if I want to do something completely different or whatever. See, part of it was the light in the rocks under the water, which I really liked. Kind of, again, it was just really drawing my attention. My sort of photography is light based. I see cool light, and I tend to want to build a composition around the light. I mean, obviously, sometimes I'll see a composition that I like, and then you're waiting for the light. But typically, I'm reacting to light and then trying to find a way to really capture it. So that's kind of what this day was about. This is going to have to go, but we will. I obviously don't need any of the existing stuff. Just delete that, and then delete that. Yeah, I don't know. It's obviously a bit stronger. I don't know if I need it quite so dark. W, look for any blown out highlights. I don't mind, again, I don't mind the blacks being somewhat blown out, well, crushed. I guess that's what people like to say. But I also don't want to lose all the detail all the time. That's not bad. Maybe even a little more. Kind of give us some depth, pulling down, going down, but it's kind of light area. I kind of like that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn as to whether or not this is worth, excuse me, spending the time to really work on it. It's cool. Although this is going to be wrong. Do the preview so I can see it. Off, on, off, on. Yeah, let me do some quick, I'll take a minute. Let's do some quick adjustments to a couple of things. One thing I like about this, when I adjust the intensity here, the actual, what it's pasting down kind of reflects the change. So you can see that you're doing something more, subtle, as opposed to having to, guess. I like that. But nothing's going to happen unless I actually make an adjustment. Let's do this. So the reason why I do a bit of an S-curve in these kinds of adjustments as well is so that it doesn't look like I've taken some paint and just gone quick. I want the darks to be darker than the lights in the adjustment area as well. Otherwise you could just exposure up and then everything gets lighter evenly. This way it kind of, the lights get lighter, but you're trying to keep the darks dark still so that it gives you that depth and that natural look. At least that's what I'm hoping for. That is subtle. It's amazing how subtle adjustments can add up. You just don't notice them until until you're shown them, like off and then on. And then if some things are too much, you can always do the eraser. I'm going to add a little bit more down here, and then I might do some erasing to fine tune it. Yeah, I'm still torn. I think I'm trying to spread lipstick on a pig on this one. I mean, it's kind of cool. Let's do an eraser right here. Zoomed a little bit too far in. There we go. So I'm essentially erasing at the lower intensity level than I had put that down originally, which is nice. If you crank that intensity up to like max, you can quickly erase and it'll just go away. Obviously, you can also just delete the layer and start over again. Let's go add the vignette again. Yeah, I think it was worth doing, I think. I'm not sure how intense I want to be with the vignette, though. This feels a little more like a natural scene, a little less fine art, but still, I definitely love this look. Like I said, I am a big fan of high contrast, black and white. The marks here are from water bubbles that were floating by. I kept having to wait for them, and then I would snap a shot and then hope. Sorry about that. Had Corel crash on me, so I had to bring it back up. So, yeah, I think that's enough beating on this one. Let me know what you think. I like the fact that within 10 minutes you can kind of decide if it's going to be something that's worth really doing or not. I mean, something like this that I might throw up as a wallpaper on my computer, I'll spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes editing, and usually that's good enough. Obviously, if I'm going to print it, put it on the wall, I'll spend a bit more time to really clean stuff up and make sure that everything is sort of as good as it can be, precise, everything adjustment wise is, precise, and clone is precise and all that. Something like this where I'm just trying to get a feel for it and see it, yeah, that works. All right, so one shot, I did do an abstract. This here, I've always been wanting to get waves in motion frozen in a way where they kind of looked like they were Lexan or plastic or some polymer. And I don't think I achieved it here, but I got close. I got something that I liked anyway. Just put on a longer lens and zoomed into a scene. Obviously the water was flowing around the rocks, and just above this, the light was direct on the rocks. It was just blown out. So this is down, crop in, and try to make something out of it, basically. And I don't know, I just wanted to play just for a minute or two. See if I can, like I said, find something in here that is more than meets the eye initially. It may be a matter of just literally spending an hour snap after snap after snap, because you end up with stuff moving through the scene like this down here. I might have to probably just crop that out. I do that. That's a little better already. And these were probably leaves. There were some leaves flowing downriver, and then obviously some water bubbles. There's some, mini cascades that were causing a little bit of bubble action, and obviously with the long exposure, they would create these streaks. Gosh, that's already is not too bad. I'm the one out shooting the pictures, and I'm my audience. I shoot for myself. I don't have Instagram or anything, and so it's funny, you get pictures that you like, and you're like, well, of course I did, because I was the one out shooting it, so why wouldn't I? I don't know. It's wow, that's a good question. I'm not sure what route to go with that. I think on this one, I probably have a lot of decisions to make more than technical. It's not like I have to specifically make a curve adjustment or clone something out. It's going to be a lot more sort of art decisions, so I'm not going to spend 20 minutes just staring at the screen thinking. But I would definitely love your comments, your thoughts on sort of this abstract-y, fine arty type stuff. Is that something that you're into? Do you shoot that way? Do you like this sort of thing? Any thoughts on that? Let me know. All right, let's do one last one. So I also went to, got a couple from which to choose. I went to a stream a little bit further up. So there's no rock on the side versus rock on the side. This kind of counterbalances here from a framing viewpoint. Yeah. I mean, this kind of leads up and then back. Gosh, that's a tough one. This is where having a live stream would be helpful. I could be asking, hey, give me a, let me know. I think I will do one like this without the rock, and then we can always do a quick apply to the other and take a look at it. So here's a longer exposure. See the water here compared to this, where you get a little bit more detail, a little more stringy. Normally I go with the faster shutter speed to get more detail, more stringiness. I typically don't like the foam marshmallow overly soft look, although just occasionally I'm kind of into it. That's part of what I liked actually this day when I was out in the field. I stood on very precariously on some really slippery rocks, but yeah, I think this will work. So this one I'm not going to go black and white. I think I am just going to play with some adjustments. Now, one of the things that I'm running into on this scene, and you can see how dark this is here compared to how light this is here. So obviously the way the sun was coming in was down in through here, facing this side as opposed to, you know, sort of semi-backlit. So if I just were to drag this down, now I've just overemphasized that. So this entire area is much more in shade than this area, even though it's not direct sunlight. It's in this case, I had some clouds come in and it created a soft box effect. And while this looks pretty cool on this side, I like that look. That light is really nice. This overall, you know, is just not going to work. So I need to make sure I keep it more even. And then these guys here are pretty dark. So I might want to lighten those up. See, these guys are just really, really dark. So that's a bit of a tough one. I'll have to play with the exact right amount of this. But let me do an adjustment layer. And I'm going to drop that down a bit as per normal. So what I'm doing is just going to mask off these dark areas. Because what I don't want to do is just bring all the blacks up in the entire scene. I'm a big believer in local adjustments. If you have a certain area that needs something done to it, just do it to that area. I mean, you know, do what you want. You're fully capable of making your own decisions, but that's my 2 cents. Being that this is my video, that's what you get. All right. I probably don't need to keep doing the same intensity. This here just needs to maybe be very subtle. And I can play with it. So what I'm going to do here is drag the slider a teeny weeny bit. It brings in a little more detail. Off, on, off, on, off, on. That works okay. I like that. I don't know if I need to make this any brighter like I did in the black and whites, where I was sort of painting the effect of trying to, you know, increase that contrast and make these shiny parts shiny. I think this is okay the way it is. The thing that I do want to do, however, back in here there was some yellows. You can kind of see them back here. And I wouldn't mind enhancing those a little bit. So I'm going to try an adjustment layer. Now there's a bunch of yellow in green as well in these leaves, so this may not work what I'm trying here. I may have to go and actually paint, you know, the actual tree or whatever that I'm trying to deal with. But this, I'll just do a quick test here. So I'm going to the color equalizer plugin. I don't know if, I can't remember if that's default, comes with this thing, or if you have to add that separately. But if you haven't played with this, you can actually adjust individual colors, which is handy. So I'm going to do saturation as well. Try to get these yellows to pop just a little bit more. You can see in here, it's looking a little better. We'll do the same. Just a little bit more yellow in there, which is nice, because this is sort of a pre-fall scene. It's obviously not all colored. It's not too bad. Now, one thing I'll do, just so if you haven't played with the color equalizer, hue allows you to shift colors, certain colors to other colors, because they're so close and they're related. So in this case, I can take this yellow, so this basically goes from green to yellow, and then the green one will go down to yellow. So I can actually take these greens and then you can shift them. And now suddenly you've got yourself a traditional fall color scene, you know, for fakesies. I mean, I have no problem with this. Like I said, this is your art. This is your photography viewpoint. And if I was maybe wanting this on my wall, you know, hell, why not? Take the greens and make them yellow. What's wrong with that? And so it's kind of a fun little tool to use. And again, you can play with all the colors and you can do multiple layers so that you could change the intensity of one side versus another side to give it a more natural look. If it all looks just evenly and you want to have it be multi, like a little bit more yellow, a little darker, whatever, just do multiple adjustment layers and do multiple tweaks. And what I can do here is, actually I can just grab this guy. Curve, give me the curve. Bring that down there and down here. See, it's kind of bleeding into these, and the stuff is on these rocks. I don't want to do that too much. It's just, again, a bit of a show and tell. Kind of see it. It's kind of cool though. Like I said, one of the key things is to play. I don't know if I'm going to want a vignette on this guy. Whoops, other way. Let's do that. It's a tough one. It's not... I guess I could do that. This is already fairly dark. I mean, I guess I could try an adjustment layer in through here. This is where you can get real tricky if you start, like what I'm going to try to do here is brighten this up a little bit. Sorry, I'm not talking. I'm trying to be careful here. Come on. The trick, though, is I need to make this feather bigger. Create a transition that makes some sense. Yeah. Like I said, here, sorry, I'm probably too far away. Part of me is like, well, I could just jam this up and do that. I mean, it's not horrible. I'm concerned that too much light and then it's like dark right below it it won't look good. Go halfway in between. It's not too bad. What do you think? Pre-fall, looks like a nice fall scene now. Did as a recap, we lightened some of the dark areas using masks, masked off the green, and in this case made them yellow. That would be easy enough to undo, and then there it is, green again. It's funny now. It's like I like the yellow now. So anyway, is there any others you want to look at? I think that was it. I had some forest scenes, but I'm not gonna bother going through all these. I think that will be good. Yeah. Maybe I'll do a second video of these forest scenes, but might just give me an excuse to go out and shoot again. Bam! That's how I go out and do my photography these days. Load up the bike, get out there. It's a great way to go shooting, by the way, if you have the means. How'd Ferris Bueller say that? It's so choice. Anyway, hit me up with any questions you have. Let me know what photos you like, or if you think a different adjustment or different crop would be better. Love to hear about it. And I think that's all I got. That's all I got for now. See you later.